If you're watching, welcome back to the second ever posted interview. We're joined today, the very, very talented Sorzano of the Source Network Collective in Manchester, OverGrinding Music Group, a man of many talents, director, artist. You design your own merch as well, don't you?
Nah, so obviously Source Networks is a creative agency, and I've got a graphic designer signed to the agency. So this is actually just like merch that we've done, but this was the cover art. But I like to design cover art that can double up as merch as well, simply for the fact of save time, but it also keeps it in theme. You're promoting your music, it looks sick, why not?
If you want to introduce yourself anymore, feel free, go ahead.
Cool. So, my name's Sorzano. For people that don't know, Sorzano is actually my last name. It's my family name. The reason I kind of went for the name Sorzano just to represent my music is because anything that I do, I kind of want it to be immortal. I've got this thing about immortality and letting things live beyond myself. Because, bro, you can. It's peak to say, but I think considering how this year has been, you can die at any time. So at least I'm making something beyond my own lifetime, especially if I'm doing it for my family legacy, because I'm not the only Sorzano in the world. There's other Sorzanos. There's Sorzano in Trinidad called Kimber. He makes music as well. He's actually pretty successful out there, even though the whole story behind our family name's pretty wild. But I'll get into that later on.
Well, I'll just go back quickly to what you were talking about a second ago, I guess, with the Source Network stuff. So you have a few of your friends from Source Network, which is, if you don't know, a collective, I guess, documenting creatives on music and fashion, I guess, in the industry, isn't it? Yeah.
So, that's how it started, but what we are now is a creative agency. Essentially, we have a particular talent that we work with that the whole point of it is to generate income, of course, first of all, from getting jobs, but most of that stuff is behind the scenes. So it's a lot of media productions, and obviously some of the other stuff that we're doing right now is actually just merch designs, because obviously we've just signed a graphic designer. So we're developing him as a graphic designer, getting him commission jobs, and obviously just developing his portfolio with exclusive clientele that we particularly network with at Source. So from all of the stuff that we've just done while being freelancers and just networking and doing our own thing individually, it's added to a collective portfolio, which has just made it easier to network as a business instead of just as hi, I'm one guy doing this. It's no, I'm a company and this is our entire portfolio. So when we bring new people in, they have access to the portfolio while we're still doing the networking with clients we've worked with for 3 years plus.
Do you see sort of I don't know, I'm assuming that you see music and fashion extremely linked together, because that's the way it's been for a very, very long time. Do you see it as an extension, I guess, fashion is an extension of music, or yeah?
You tell me that you could shoot a music video without actually being dressed correctly in it. If you're dressed bummy, your video's gonna be bummy, your track's gonna sound bummy. So you might as well, everything needs links. It's like ASAP Rocky said, you need your girl to link to your song. She needs to link to this. She needs to link to this. Everything has to be connected in the way that it promotes the artist, because you only have that one moment to kind of define who you are, particularly within that song, and it needs to be well represented. So everything is linked, from the fashion to the visuals to the actual sound of it. Even movies, bro, even from how they'll cast a certain character or they'll dress a certain character, everything is linked and designed for a specific purpose of communicating something.
On the topic of movies, actually, I feel that's a nice introduction there. The first time that we ever sort of reached out to you, it was Matt who just popped out of the blue and said, have you ever seen yeah, I've seen this guy's music, really cool. I think we should definitely I don't know, promote or something like that. I'm just going to ask him if he's seen Goodfellas first though, yeah? And I was you can do that if you want, Matt, but
it was a foundation.
I was going to say, have you got top 5 movies then?
I would, to be honest, there's so many movies over the years, I can't really pick a proper top 5. I just have to think about movies that when I was younger or growing up, they had an impact on me in some ways. So top 1 would probably be Avatar, because bruv, I've watched that movie so many times. I absolutely love it. The CGI is incredible. I've been waiting for the second one for 10 years, bro.
I was going to ask, is that James Cameron or Last Airbender?
James, let's not discuss the Last Airbender movie. That doesn't need to be. Yo, it's deep. The Last Airbender has a lot of themes about life. If you actually just take a minute and sit down and watch it, you might actually really resonate with it. And some of the things that the characters say about their philosophies on life, it's a really philosophical children's show. So considering like I rewatched it again recently and just like was like, yo, these are messages that are like basically structuring my subconscious as a young child, and now I'm just getting it again as an adult. Like, yeah, I'm glad I watched a show like that because there's a lot of crap TV out there. But in terms of top 5 for movies, I'd say Avatar for James Cameron. Probably like I'm a big fan of Star Wars, but like Episode 3. What I put recently, The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie. That's a hard film. It's probably one of my favorite like gangster films of recent times. I just love the cinematography in it as well, just the way they tell the story. 1917, I'd have to rate really highly. Just the incredible, and then Kidulthood as well.
Just quickly, The Gentleman. That's the one with Bugsy Malone's in that, isn't he?
Oh, incredible as well, man. Like they even shot him in the actual movie. Like what?
2 birds with 1 stone, isn't it?
Yeah, man. But like proper talent, because you know what? Like there's a lot of music artists that will go into movies and they can't play on any character other than themselves. They don't really know how to act. And I feel like this is a role that he really got fully absorbed into in it. And like there's been times where obviously I work full time as well. So like in the place where I work, I've run into people like this sometimes. So I ran into Bugsy before when he was just kind of like about. And like it's one of the times when I was quite early in me making my own music, and I was able to just ask him for a little bit of advice. And his character, how he is in person, is also very different to how he is in this movie. So it's able to see like, there's a big difference in how a person can actually just like fully switch on a different mode and become a different person. I mean, to make music anyway, you kind of have to have like alter egos in a way of different mentalities and perspectives to be able to switch into.
Bugsy Malone, that's a Manchester artist right there, and you yourself are currently based in Manchester. I mean, so you're from Luton originally, is it?
Yeah, Luton. Originally.
And then you moved to Manchester for uni, was it?
Yeah, man, that was like 5 years ago.
And then just loved it and stayed there, yeah?
Yeah, it's one of those like obviously being near London, because that's where Luton is, like you get exposed to the culture and you can kind of go there every now and again. But for me, it was always too fast paced, and like there's a certain thing about London culture that I did have a gripe with at the time. That was just kind of, I felt it was extremely cliquey. And it's not that Manchester is any different. It's another cliquey city. But I just felt like there was a lot more that I could do up here that was meaningful to me. So it's kind of something I wanted to stay.
I don't know, do you view yourself more as sort of a Manchester native now, I guess? Because I'm guessing it's like your second home, really, isn't it? You've been there 5 years plus.
I don't know. Other people might say this for me, but I feel like I'm a Manchester OG in my own way because it's of like new generation stuff and just the amount that we've created and who we've worked with since. Like, because basically I came to uni for my first year and then I left straight away for my second year because I studied abroad. But as soon as I came back for my third year, I was just doing my freelance stuff. I was doing my media, working with Source Network, and like what we've done has established ourselves as kind of like pioneers of like creative collectives within the city. And like I've seen so many people pop up after that. And you know what? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. But at the same time, if you inspire someone to like go and do something that sells, don't care. It just adds to the legacy, innit? Like,
what do you rate of the Manchester accent?
Yeah, no, Manchester accent is cool. It depends where from though, because like a Wythenshawe accent is very different to a Moston accent. So I don't know. It all depends on who you're speaking to and what mood they're in. If they're angry, you might hear a completely different type of person.
Sort of taking it back to music there for just a brief second. This year's been quite a big year for you. Like you've released Prosper most recently, and then you had Dreaming in Hands On before that.
Might be like 8 songs this year.
I guess for, I don't know, singles continuously, like, do you find it hard to maintain that work rate really, of just putting everything? No.
It's pretty much, this is old music. Like we haven't got the new music yet.
Is there I don't know, is there any projects coming out anytime soon that we can know about?
I will be releasing a project in October, but even before that, OverGrinding has a project coming out next month.
OverGrinding. I guess if you want to talk a bit more about OverGrinding.
OG family fam. So OverGrinding was started by like Connor and Trippy. I think it was Connor's thing when he was already doing it. Connor is little unknown in it, but yeah, so essentially that's something that him and his boy were doing. They used to like spit grime when they were a lot younger, but they would just always make up this thing called overgrinding. It's basically grinding past grinding just because of the way that they work in it. Like imagine you do a 14-hour shift And then someone's like, oh, you still go studio? Of course, because you're overgrinding, innit? Like you're going past your limits to be able to just get the grind in. So, but essentially a tragedy happened, innit? Like his friend that he was doing grind with died. So he decided to like carry on the legacy of overgrinding, and he's just been repping it since. So I met him like 2 years ago because he DM'd me to ask to shoot a video when I was mainly doing videos before I started releasing most of my music. So I shot a video for him. It's called New Ice. You can check it out. It's on his own channel. Since then, yeah, we've just been mates, man. Like I'll go to his make tracks. Like we released a song called Back to Bark. And this is just in freestyle days. Like I would say the music quality has changed a lot in 2 years, as it should do. But yeah, recently after like lockdown and everything, I just kind of like really thought about like, yo, who are my friends that I really resonate with, and who's the people that I would want to make music with. And to be honest, it's only really these guys in it. So I don't make too much music with anybody that that don't consider a friend in it. Like you can collaborate with so many people in it, but I don't really see. It's not that there's no worth in it, but I'd rather just work with my own guys in it and just stay in house with our stuff, because the music that we make is hard enough in it. Like
in a way, like the better chemistry you have like with the people that you make your music with is the best quality that you'll get from it. How important do you see I don't know, like the producer artist dynamic? Like is that something that's
they stand terms, to be honest? Obviously the artist has to do a little bit more, but that's kind of what you sign on for. But can't have a song without a beat unless you're doing an acapella. But then tell me how well that's going to do for people want to 24/7.
It's good to have like a relationship with a specific producer, so you know each other's sound, and you can keep coming back.
Yeah, because there's very few producers that I actually work with. So I would work in Manchester. I'd mainly work with either Matu, Moody, or Houdini. And then I've got 2 producers that I work with from France, and they kind of curate a different side of my sound completely. But like in the mixtape that I've got coming, like it's a good all of those type of sounds and directions in it. Because so far, all the music I've been releasing has been basically to take people on a journey so they can understand my progression. Because some of the stuff that I've been creating, I have been creating for like years, but it's not been the right way for me to structure my whole branding and how I want to develop myself and take people on the journey to like, right, cool. I've only just started releasing melodic music in a way, other than like Forgive, which is maybe a year ago, but Prosper is probably the most melodic song that I've done in, I don't know, like past 6-7 releases. And it's just hard for me to be able to comfortably release melodic music, but in the mixtape it's quite even balance between melodic and actual rap music.
As obviously UK rap as a genre, but if you had like a more niche term to describe what type of music you make, like what would you say about that?
The closest that I would put to it is like alternative hip hop in it, because it's not necessarily like standard UK rap music in it. Like not everything that I make radio. I'm surprised Dreaming actually got onto the radio as well, because it was like I just wanted to release it and just put it out and then see what it would do. And then uploaded it to BBC Introduction, and they picked up, and then, you know, it got selected as a track of the week, and they just played it every day. To be honest, they played it still playing for a couple of days after. So I guess that they resonated with somebody there, and they wanted to keep pushing it out. So, but it's not something that I ever planned to kind of, you know, put out. When we were making it, I was still kind of building off a sound that was, the idea of it was to make something that was authentically myself, but still accessible to the mainstream. So that's kind of what that sound is. Like if you listen to anything before Snakeskin, it doesn't necessarily have the same sort of sound, but that's a lot closer to what I'm like, as in just what I make when I'm by myself.
No, I've seen that stuff on, it was Sean Anderson, you're on One Extra. I mean, like, how does that feel to, that's like massive.
Yeah, man, because even from before that, right? And I guess it's just a thing in my head. I hadn't really set up my PRS properly, because I was like, all right, cool. When I get to the radio plays properly and I'm earning, then boom. I mean, they suggest you that you do that anyway. When you start to get radio plays, when you start to get in venues over a certain cap, then you should set up your PRS. And for me, that was like, all right, cool. I guess it's time to set up my PRS. And then I can track back all the other performances I've done for this year. So it's just kind of like, oh shit, I need to take another step forward, because stuff is happening automatically. I need to catch up to where my music is taking me right now, and I've always wanted it to be the vehicle to take me to somewhere else in it, as much as it might seem, because I've told some people about it and they're like, oh, BBC Introducing, okay, and they don't really get it as like it's a big deal. But for me, it's a huge deal. Like, bro, I don't care, my stuff was on Radio 1 Extra, regardless of how it got there, it was still there in it.
So you're working full-time, you've you do all this stuff with Source Network, OverGrinding, your own music. I mean, how do you find yourself managing all of that?
Just make sure you sleep, wake up early, grind. Like it doesn't feel like work for me because it's something that I love to do. So I don't have to like combat myself or like try and discipline myself to get up and do it. It happens automatically. So the only thing after that is make sure my spiritual health is fine, my physical health is fine, and my mental health is fine. If I've got that, then I've got the energy to just keep doing it anyway.
Just sort of a bit of a different question there. What would be your sort of earliest memory of music, and how do you think that that's had an impact on you and like your career as you progressed?
I come from kind of a musical family. Like we're always playing music. Like we had a piano in the house when I was young. My brother was into music quite a lot. Like, so there's a lot of early memories about music. So I can't think of my earliest one. However, ones that were quite impactful to me is mainly in like high school times more than anything. Cause it's like, I studied music then, and there was a lot of times where basically I went to an all boys high school. So like if you kind of mess up doing anything, you get ripped for it on like a really like just kind of like kids getting at each other. But like I guess it's different when you're at an all boys school and everyone's just kind of getting onto you. It's like the population was kind of like 15% black people, 80% like Pakistani, Indian, and Bengali, and then like 5% white. So it's kind of like a really different flip from majority of schools being mainly white populations and then minorities are just kind of like all bunched together. So it's kind of like the way it was, like you dealt with like a lot of racism as well towards like black people. And so we just kind of stuck together in our groups. But not everybody that did music was necessarily like that confident, considering like the environment that you're in. First of all, you don't want to mess up in front of like an assembly full of their people. So there was different times that I remember personally where it's like we're doing a performance and someone will drop out on the day. And because I'm a little bit more like into music, the teacher's like, yeah, you go on. Why don't you take the lead? I'm like, so now I have to sing in front of all these people because nobody else wants to do it. All right, fine, yes, I'll do it, but I'm not happy to do it. So there's been quite a few occasions where I've just been forced out of my comfort zone. And I think that set me up to always want to get out of my comfort zone. Like I never really want to, like everything that you want is outside of your comfort zone. So like I wanted to just grab everything that's available for me. If I can't do something, that doesn't mean that I can't learn how to do something. Like there's no reason you can't do anything.
How long have you been making music?
Been about 4 years. Someone asked me just recently, actually making music and then just being a fan of music or playing an instrument. Because I used to play instruments, but like I kind of stopped as soon as like high school. It's one of those where you take a different education route, and when you're still kind of like formulating finding out who you are, you're trying a whole bunch of different things instead of like, all right, cool, I've always been about music. As you can tell, I'm into a lot of different stuff creatively, so I was trying a lot of different things.
What instruments did you play like growing up?
I used to play the clarinet, I used to play steel pans, I used to play the piano. That was about it. I would say that I played decently because you can like strum a couple guitar, but like I don't play the guitar.
What sort of music do you listen to when you were like, growing up, like young days?
Kanye West quite a lot, to be honest. Black Eyed Peas as well. Basically, best gift that my got me when I was growing up was like an MP3 player. And as soon as that, and I was just able to put my own music together, I think that's when I really started getting into music for myself, because then I was able to like curate it a lot more.
What he listened to basically is what you would listen to. How big an impact, I guess? I don't know, like, are you a family person? Are you close to your family? Is that something that has a massive impact?
My family, and like it's a shame that it took lockdown for me to kind of like actually physically be closer with my family as well, because there's so many times that I probably should have gone back to visit a lot more, and I didn't until it got to like lockdown recently. And then I moved back home for a while just so I could, obviously, like there's no point when you're on furlough to be still up in Manchester paying rent. I might as well go back home, spend time with my family, save some cash. And from that, like, yo, I love being around my mum and my sister. Like, had my stepbrothers were around sometimes. Like, it was good to be in a family environment again, because I don't really need to question anybody's intentions when I'm around family. When you're in a city full of people that aren't like blood related to you or anything, or you're not a native to it, some people act booky in it, and like I don't need to really question my family. Like, we all got each other's back in it.
Who would be your dream collaborator?
Skepta. I say Skepta, yeah, but Octavian would be a really, really big dream collab, because I just feel like it's an evolution of what Skepta has brought to the world already in it, and like it's not like a direct copy in it. Like Octavian has been heavily influenced by Skepta, you know, he says it himself quite openly, but I feel like his interpretation of the world in his own perspective, it just allows for so much more freedom in it because of just his own interpretation of everything. So I'll say Octavian.
Where would you like to go next with your music or your company or anything? And what is like the dream / end goal?
Essentially, everything ties together in it. Like my company works to support my music as well. So everything is interlocking and weaving. So wherever the company ends up going, I will end up going, my music will end up going. So essentially the goal for Source Network is to have like an elite team of creatives that operate on like a global scale. So we'll be able to do videos and productions anywhere around the world. Like a big inspiration for us of why we started, or the way we structured it, was org. You see ASAP Rocky he's a creative director for org. He's like also like he directs his own videos. He's in control of his image. And then whenever he goes to do campaigns, it'll be like directed by the org team. So it's something that I think Source can do on a global scale as well. Like you might see us directing, I don't want to say like a Gucci campaign because some of their ethics don't necessarily sit with me, but maybe like a Doc Martens campaign would be really sick to be directed by Source and have all of the people that are on our roster kind of involved with that as well. So that means the OverGrinding teams, that means myself, but like, you know, it can still be creative directed by myself. So that's kind of where I see Source going to a global level to be able to direct campaigns and videos for like the newest up and coming artists. And then for my music, I see it as inseparable in it because like it's just I'm an artist in it. Like I have different mediums of being able to create stuff. So every time I have a new life experience, it just puts back into my music. So I want to be able to change visual culture in the UK with my music videos as well. So stuff that I personally do in terms of the tracks that I make, because I'd want to make music that gets into movies at some points in it. So the type of music that I make will always be heavily tied to my visuals. So as my company progresses and gets better with visuals, my own personal visuals will get better. I guess it's mainly a visual focus, I guess, more than anything. Like the music is to complement the visuals, but the music is also to communicate my reality as it changes and as I grow as a person.
Do you see yourself ever stopping, or are you always going to be making stuff?
To be honest, I've said this from young. I might just be a monk, but I don't know. Like I'm family orientated, so I'm kind of gonna wait to see what happens in it. Like I'm not necessarily planning a vision for after the vision. I leave space for the universe in it. I kind of plan 50% and then let
them handle the rest.
Yeah, like I've been blessed with things beyond my time in it that I can, like, things happen very quickly for you as well that you can't expect. So I'll be happy to take my blessings. I live in abundance. I live with my gratitude for everything that happens to me in it. And not to be morbid or buzzkill, you don't know if you're going to survive to the end of the year in it. So like, I'm trying to live in it now a lot more.
Thank you very much to Sorzano for joining with us today.
A pleasure.
Go check out all of his music. Go check out Source Network, OverGrinding Music Group. Anything with Sorzano's name, just know that. What was that?
So I'm backwards because of the way the camera is set up. But basically, we're doing a little campaign for a charity called War Child. So on the back, we'll have like some different like strips, and we've got that tee, and then we've got this one as well.
Okay. Do you say it's with War Child? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Real soon.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. Thank you very much, Sorzano, and speak soon, I guess.
Speak to you soon.
Black and red like it's a menace. Trying to explain what the zen is. Back and forth like it was tennis.